Well, what an exciting United States Grand Prix that was, and I think at this rate, I'm going to have F1 overdose. What am I talking about? That's impossible. So 2 weekends in a row, we've got 2 Grand Prix, Mexican Grand Prix this weekend. I'm going to follow up my reaction from the United States Grand Prix with my predictions for Mexico. And my biggest bother about the North American calendar is that it's just so late, the races. I like getting up early in the morning. I don't like staying up late. It's bothering me. I had to stay up to like it was 10 o'clock. When I had work the next morning at 6. The United States Grand Prix was a very exciting one. Many surprises. I predicted that Norris would win the race. I think Verstappen second, Leclerc would be third, Hamilton would be fourth. Yeah, no, you're wrong there. But, you know, I wasn't too far off. Now, I'd say Verstappen would get pulled for the sprint race, say he would lead most of it, which he led all of it and won. I was somewhat right with the race, just I severely underestimated Ferrari, and I think many people did as well. They just turned up out of nowhere. Of course, they have brought upgrades. Many teams have brought upgrades, including Red Bull and McLaren, but they just seemed so unstoppable. As soon as I got ahead, that's it. Leclerc just pulled away from Verstappen. Like, Norris couldn't catch Verstappen and Verstappen couldn't catch Leclerc. Promising signs for next year, I see. So I am not complaining really about this sudden surge in Ferrari performance. But many things to unpack from this race as well. And we're going to get started with the Verstappen versus Norris battle. What a battle that was. McLaren stayed out a lot longer. Their tyre preservation is just amazing. That McLaren nurses tyres so well. We know that like quite throughout this season we've seen McLaren nurses tyres way better than Red Bull and the Ferrari. Well, it's just on another level. It's coming towards like 30 on the mediums and still matching the pace of the runners on the new hards. Incredible management. And of course that did bring McLaren back. They've seen this in commentary. They slower in the middle start of the stint, but when it comes on later to the stint, they start to pull it back. They start to catch up. And McLaren was saying, yeah, this circuit isn't really for our car. There's many that stop-go because we've got long straights and like hard braking the corners, you know, with tight hairpins. Apparently doesn't match McLaren's car very well. I don't know. I'm not going to buy that personally. I think Red Bull and Ferrari's upgrades have worked and have simply actually possibly leaped McLaren. You know, I say the order is now Ferrari have the fastest car, then Verstappen, not Red Bull, then McLaren. In that order, I believe it is now. It's still very close, as we've seen in qualifying, but it seems like the Ferraris are unqualifying. They weren't as quick. I think they were getting attention. Sure, Russell did crash at the end of Q3, so we didn't exactly have a chance to see everyone's complete lap, and Verstappen was on a flyer, so Verstappen should have really got pole. So in that sense, Norris did get quite lucky. Good thing he made the most of it at turn 1. Leclerc had an absolutely beautiful start. Slipped through, found his way through, stayed in inside, made up loads of positions. Exactly what Norris did. And I don't know why Norris didn't defend the inside line. He's not aggressive enough. It's like Verstappen, he owns Norris in a way. Like, he's like scared. He's like Max and Norris is like the big bully at school where like Norris is a bit too scared to stand up to him. But he tries, but he doesn't. When it actually comes to push to shove, he doesn't give it enough. Norris just needs to get a bit more of a throttle and drive within himself and say, you know what, Max, no, I've had enough of what you're doing. I'm going to go through. I'm going to put my car here regardless if you like it or not, and we'll crash if so. Give him a taste of his own medicine, essentially. Which Verstappen has been known for that sort of mentality. Maybe not so much now because he's driving. Verstappen's driving this race was amazing. He battled with Norris perfectly. There was nothing wrong with Verstappen's side of it. He's very much matured and very much improved in terms of the way his racecraft is. Because before it was just brake late. If he doesn't move out the way, we're going to crash. You know, very much a Senna-esque style. But we're looking at that penalty though. If you look at it, we was comparing it. I was talking to someone today. We're comparing to the Russell and Bottas incident, obviously compared to the Norris and Verstappen incident. We were basically talking about how one party got a penalty, but in the other situation, and the different party got the penalty. You know what I'm saying? Because obviously Norris got a penalty and Russell got a penalty, and there was complete opposite sides of each other. If you know what I'm saying. Norris was way further off the track. Russell was actually on the track. The difference within that is, I've looked at the footage, I've replayed the highlights of it. The difference is Russell was actually on the track and pushed Bottas off when he was alongside him. And the reason why Norris got the penalty is because he went all the way to bloody Mexico. Norris was nowhere near the exit of the corner. Sure, Verstappen did go off the track as well, which is a point me and my friend were bringing up. But to counter that, Norris went way over the track, gained a lot more exit speed, and therefore gained an advantage. So the penalty is fair, which he could have actually neutralised, because you could see on the last lap he made about a second of Verstappen, and there was about 9 tenths in the end, the difference. So he could have actually pushed on or let him pass, but it doesn't matter now. The penalty was valid. End of story. And in the potential other Red Bull seat, we could have a new visitor or a new full-time driver as Lawson. What a guy. He's absolutely racked that V-carb up to places, well, Tsunoda couldn't really get it in. An absolute embarrassment for Tsunoda. Spinning at turn 1, come on, man. There's losing to your teammate who's just jumped back in the car from a year of taking off. And you first of all losing to him, and second of all, you drop it at turn 1. I mean, I rate Tsunoda highly personally, but I think this might actually be the final straw. It's the first race Lawson has jumped into that V-carb, but I think that is said enough. Lawson had beaten fair and square, and he did it in a sprint race weekend where he's had 1 hour of practice to get used to the car. So you know what, Lawson, fair play, lad. And they're saying how he could potentially get into Red Bull. Maybe I'm thinking, I don't know, like, it makes sense because Perez is still tragically underperforming, even though there's been upgrades to the Red Bull. I mean, hopefully the 2 Red Bull cars have the same spec, which I imagine they will, because I have the best budget as they've won the last few Constructors' Championships in a row. So there shouldn't really be an excuse on why the cars at Red Bull should be different, maybe for drivability, for the feel for each driver, perhaps, maybe that. They have tried out a few times where Perez went back to an old spec from the beginning of the year to see if he can actually improve and actually get back to pace where he was, because he was more comfortable with that spec. He was a lot better. But either way, we could see Perez getting terminated for next season and Lawson jumping out of Red Bull. That'd be exciting, wouldn't it? Anyway, this is a little thing that Red Bull need to sort out. Say if Verstappen leaves, they're not going to have any younger drivers, because they've had the bag of Verstappen being a star driver, being a young driver for such a long time, for about 10 years nearly now. Entered Formula 1, babyface 17-year-old, and now he's what, 26, 27, 25, around that sort of mid-20 range. You know, he's currently in his prime, Max Verstappen, and he's still going to probably be able to win races and championships for at least the next 10 years. But say if Verstappen moves on from Red Bull, who is going to take his place? They've got to get someone up now. I think just boot Perez, get someone up, perhaps Lawson. I think Tsunoda should have been given a chance, but I think that's come and gone Tsunoda's chance to Red Bull, and give someone a drive. Go, be ambitious with it. Do what they did with Sebastian Vettel. Sure, he had a bit more time, like he had a full year, or a year and a bit at Toro Rosso. But as soon as he got on that Red Bull, he was winning races and getting podiums and challenging for championships, and won 4 in a row. So I think it is time Red Bull just go gamble it and put someone else new in, because Verstappen won't be there forever. He might not even like the 2026 cars, and he could just leave, and he probably could do that because he's done it all. He's won a championship, he's got all the success. He wouldn't actually need to stay. He only stay if he wants to stay. But anyway, speaking of what's potentially to come in the next 5 races and 2 sprint races, is both championship battles. I'm going to start with the constructors. I think it is very much freeway game on. As if Ferrari now have the fastest car, they are only 48 points behind McLaren, so first to third is not that far apart. I think Red Bull are potentially out of it. They can't win it. They probably will finish third, because Ferrari have just appeared out of nowhere and have the best car suddenly. And McLaren, they have 2 drivers actually quick and consistent, and Red Bull, all they have to got is Verstappen. So for Red Bull to dominate the start of the season, to slip to third by the end of it would be, that would bloody sting. Now, and I think they will slip down. I'm thinking that McLaren will just pinch out Ferrari, probably within 10 points, but then Red Bull will just be left behind, probably 50 or 60 so points behind. And to the Drivers' Championship, I want to say it's not over until it's over, but Norris just, when he has the opportunity to get points, when he needs to deliver, when he needs to perform, he just doesn't. The times when he desperately needs the points, say in the sprint race, he was second, sure, he would still lose 1 point, but losing 1 point is better than losing 3 points or 2 points. When he's under this pressure, it's like he can't keep it together. He's the one that's hunting. He's the one that's trying to catch Verstappen, and he's worried about what's going on behind him. He needs to just lock in and concentrate a bit. And he's a bit in his own head. Like, it's something where I think the difference is where good drivers separate from great drivers. As of course, Verstappen is a great driver, but I don't know if he's... I think Norris could win a championship, but I just don't know if he can match up to Verstappen. I did say in one of my previous videos that Norris would win the World Championship, which you should definitely go watch. But I don't know, because he just chokes under pressure. Whenever he needs to deliver, Lando, he just doesn't. Even when there's nothing going on. He was leading by 20 seconds in Singapore and he was hitting the wall, risking the car. Like, he's driving a bit like a top driver, for sure. He's quick, don't get me wrong. That's why there's a reason why he's in that McLaren. But he's not driving like a champion at the moment. He hasn't had a champion's drive. Sure, he dominated in Zandvoort at Singapore, but he's making these little mistakes, lockups, banging the wall, getting penalties. That's not what champions do. Lando's got all the equipment. He just got to work with it. He's got to do the best he can, not stop making these little silly mistakes. And if he does that, then, well, he could definitely win the championship for sure. But that's my opinions on the United States Grand Prix summed up. Let's move on to Mexico. The Mexican Grand Prix sits in the middle of Mexico City at 2,500 meters above sea level. So by miles, the highest altitude race on in Canada. And I'm not really sure what to expect here. It is a high downforce circuit, even though it does have very, very long straights, but because it's so high up in the sky, that is actually less air pressure there. So of course they're having Monaco's downforce levels, but with Monza top speeds. So in terms of who's going to be the best, I don't know. But I'm going to make some predictions anyway. And for pole position, I'm going to say Max Verstappen will put it on pole, as I just think that qualifying pace for the Red Bull, I think that's just gelling at the moment. I think they're best in the qualifying for Red Bull at the moment. I think they are #1 there, but I don't think that will replicate to the race, as I believe Ferrari and I think Charles Leclerc will once again win for Ferrari. They just seemed so quick in Austin, and it does have the similar S section, long straights into hard braking zones with like slow speed corners. It's quite similar to Austin in that aspect. So I just don't see not Ferrari winning this one. I believe McLaren will bounce back, and I'm going to put Norris in second. Like, sure, they were nowhere near Ferrari. Even Red Bull weren't really near Ferrari in the race. I don't know, maybe McLaren will do better in the lower air pressure, higher downforce. Of course, Singapore, Zandvoort, they're quite high downforce circuits, so perhaps they could capitalize here in Mexico. Third place, Carlos Sainz. Just simply the Ferrari is so fast that Sainz will just bag a podium. Number 4, we'll put the Dutchman Max Verstappen, just missing out on the podium for Red Bull and dropping down from pole position, and that correlates to, of course, Red Bull having the best qualifying car, but not quite the best race car, as it's quick, and on paper you could say it was faster than McLaren in Austin, but as soon as it comes to tyre strategies, conserving the tyres, looking after them, the McLarens are simply the best at that, and I think that's what will get McLaren ahead of Red Bull, and of course that will be Red Bull's biggest detriment. And for the fun of it, I'm going to Hamilton 5th, coming back to Mexico with rage in his heart, from spinning out at turn 19 on lap 2, and he's going to come back and get P5. And I'm going to put the fastest lap with, let's go with Carlos Sainz. He'll get the fastest lap. But yeah, if you got to this point of the video, I very much appreciate you for being here. And let me know what your predictions are and what are your thoughts on the USA Grand Prix. That's all I've got to say. Have a good day. And goodbye in Spanish. I don't know what it is. Yeah, bye.